Hello everyone, I am Tacit, and today I'm going to be going over the Gems of War Hound Whisperer event in which the Houndmaster Gor is added to the game. So, this week's soulforge is absolutely insane and must go over first, because it's probably one of the most insane soulforges we have had in a very long time. Of course, we do still have the Gem Dragon cycling now correctly. Unfortunately, it is a Gem Dragon and not a Cosmic Dragon. Oddly enough, we had the purple one for Cosmic yesterday, and now we have the purple one for Gem Dragon. But that's not what we're here for at the beginning of this video. We are here because Takshaka is available in all of its 2 or 3 glory for either 8,000 or 12,000 diamonds. It is insanely good in PvP. You've probably seen it on every other team in Central Spire, or something pretty close to it. It is absurdly good in pretty much every parameter. It deals some of the highest true damage in the entire game, and then ends up creating a mix of blue and green, which not only feeds into itself, but also into other things. And, of course, the main gimmick that it has, creating a wild card at its beginning of every single turn. There are alternatives to this now. Most notably things like Emberclaw, which is actually, as of today, in the drop table now. So if you open Glory Gem Guild or VIP chest, you can now get Emberclaw in the drop table. If you want to wait the next mythic for next month, the first Friday of next month might be your best time to go and open them, since you could try for Emberclaw while also going for the new mythic. Unless you want to do it now, just get the whole wide drop table. But Emberclaw, the alternative, is available. But of course, we also got the new Explodey Pharaoh, which ends up doing 2 explodes every single turn, and of course that also stacks and is a bit more consistent than Takshaka. But where Takshaka still comes on top is that it still has a nice amount of mana accumulation. Will be able to stand alone as a solo troop. If you only have a Takshaka left, you can still win. Whereas a lot of the other alternatives to Takshaka can't really solo an entire battle, so it still has that going for it, which is still very useful and more noteworthy in areas where you can actually lose, most notably things like PvP, where the battles are actually quite a bit more difficult. It is not necessarily the best these days in situations where you know 100% that you're not going to lose, but in situations where it is possible to lose, it is always capable of making a really good comeback, and in those kind of situations, you tend to lean Takshaka over other newer mana accumulation methods that have been made available recently. Aside from that, well, I guess we're going over soulforge while we're here. Aside from that, the weapon that you cannot leave this week without is somewhere in here. I do not know where it is. There it is, the Dread Cutlass. This weapon itself seems pretty average. I think I actually do use it on one of the teams that we'll be showing. However, it's pretty average. It just deals some true damage to the first 2 enemies, boosted by booty gems, which are going to be 0 in almost every battle. However, this weapon itself is not the reason why you're getting it. The reason is the Ruby weapon is finally free to play as of today. The main one that we've been missing is the Dread Cutlass. We have already had the Dread Arquebus, as well as the Lodestar. These have come in past events through Dragon's Claw and through Broken Spire. But as of today, we have now gotten the Blade of Lands one with the Blade of Lands event this week. And with it, we can now end up crafting 100% free to play the Ruby weapon. This thing has been money locked for about 9 months. Gosh, I think like the beginning of the year, like the first season of this year. Was when this ended up coming out through the season pass, but is finally available for free now. If you're still missing the other components, of course, they will rotate back around, but if you've been keeping up with every single one of them the last several months, you will, for the first time ever, be able to go get this weapon. And this weapon is really good. It is actually the meta for gold farming. Of course, there are a lot of other ways to be gold farming these days, most notably farming vault events, but if you're looking to gold farm, a few different ways that you can end up building it, but this is one of the more standard ones. The Ruby weapon, double Cedric into Leprechaun, so you just go to any Explore 12 of choice, and depending on your amount of magic, you should be able to about 3-shot it, maybe 4-shot if you have much lower. But we basically just wanted to go get the Ruby weapon immediately up, cast it. It does a bunch of true damage to all enemies, creates some booty gems, and then explodes 5 gems. Booty gems count for 10 gold each, so we're pretty much always going to hit the max cap. Cedrics, of course, are for the 100% extra gold to be able to capitalize on as much gold as possible. And ideally, this thing will give a lot of its mana back into itself. It's very sporadic if it decides it does or does not want to, and ideally, it will. Alright, let's go take our last little bit of mana, and hopefully we get full mana here. Come on, a good Cascade. No good Cascade, a little unfortunate. You can offset with other mana accumulators, other similar things, even get rid of one Cedric for some other thing like, you know, Takshaka. But generally you do go all in on Cedric to get that very high amount of gold. And you just keep doing that and basically get 10,000 gold every single fight, give or take, depending on your VIP bonus. And once again, depending on your VIP bonus, is about 1 million, give or take, per hour in either direction, depending on having lower or higher VIP bonuses or lack thereof. So yeah, pretty good overall amount of gold. And aside from just Vault Event grinding, I'm pretty sure it is the highest you can pretty much get within the game. There's a few other variants you can end up running. Might cover a whole video on it soon now that it's finally available. But that's pretty much the standard, really cheap, accessible one as far as teams are concerned, without getting into like Takshakas and other similar things. Though he is in Soulforge this week. Anyways, let's get into our normally regular scheduled event stuff. So as far as the event is concerned, we end up getting this guy. Good time to stock up on red, green arcanes if you end up needing it. Only 200 gold each. As far as the troop is concerned, he explodes your gems and then summon a 1-3 Bladed Hound. So Bladed Hounds is actually the World Event troop this week. World Event? Is that the right one? Journey. Journey is the right word. Journey event this week. However, yeah, he actually summons it. This is the first time we've had a direct summon to one of these journey-like troops before. Of course, they create a bunch of gems based on their typing, in this case of Daemon. So he is a Daemon that summons a Daemon that gives a bunch of Daemons a bunch of red mana, which he also uses, which the Bladed Hound also uses. So overall, honestly, not that bad. If this was pre-nerf Journey troops, this would be like one of the better summoners in the entire game. The problem is Journey troops are still nerfed into the ground, but the premise of what he's doing is not that bad at all. He's basically a golem that instead of doing some kind of other buff, just summons 1-3 of a troop that honestly is pretty good synergy into itself. Overall, its traits are okay, has a 25% chance to summon that Bladed Hound, being the only thing in the entire game with this trait currently, as well as some 25% skill reflect. Overall, not bad, very situational. You're mostly going to be using this if you just need like a backup summoner, or if you're doing low rarity like Underspire this week. But yeah, it's not horrible. It's more so a backup plan, though, compared to other options. Amnesia and other similar things will probably still be quicker if you're looking for like a summoner mana accumulation this week, but still a really great option and a very cheap one at that, since it's only 400 glory and it can easily be maxed. As far as the event key drop table is concerned, is for Blighted Land. So basically, the only reason you would open up event keys this week is if you're trying to hit a certain milestone to go and get Blighted Lands upgraded. It is a magic-based kingdom, and with it being a magic-based kingdom means, well, magic. So if you end up getting 5-star, 10-star, 20-star, all those kind of things, you gain a permanent extra magic for the place, so for every battle that you ever do. So that's pretty much the whole reason why you would end up opening event keys this week. And pretty much the only reason, because honestly, the drop table is not that good. I don't think there's a single thing you would necessarily want. As far as things that you cannot get in drop table, this includes the Doom of Flame, which is only from Red Tower of Doom. Double checking. The 5 faction troops from Fang Moor are only from Fel Roost, a faction. Those you have to go through Chaos Shards at Fel Roost in order to get those 5. Beyond that, the current Journey troop, wherever that is in all this, the Blighted Hound, this is only from the current Journey event this week, so you cannot get it from the event key drop table. The Devil Terra card is only from the Vault key drop table. Speaking of which, the previous Terra card is actually in the Vault key drop table now if you want to go get it. I forget what it was called, but whatever the most recent one was, that was in the last season pass from a couple months ago, or from the other month, I mean. That is now in drop table from the Vault keys, as well as this Devil card, of course. And beyond that, everything else is in drop table. Oh, sorry. Also, the Demonic Sentinel is also not in drop table. Gosh, too many things. There's just going to be like a whole checklist every single week at this rate. But yeah, it's like 8 things. Wow. But anyways, as far as the mythics here, Amnesia, pretty much useless, but if you do have it, it's an okay mana accumulator for the place while having a resummon. This thing, pretty useless. Again, resummon that doesn't really do too much. This place has a lot of useless resummon, I just noticed, while also having a lifesteal. And this guy, probably the most useful of the 3 in the context that he's okay for doing like Underspire this week. But beyond that, won't really do much. His whole gimmick is that he has insta-kill chance based on his magic, and he gains magic every single turn. Problem with that, Blighted Lands has no way to make him gain more magic. If there was, this would be a little bit better. The only way he can gain more magic, at least in the context of Blighted Lands, is to wait every single turn to gain 3 more. And of course, if you're stunned for whatever reason, you will not keep gaining that 3 additional magic. And if you're webbed, he will do basically nothing per cast for 25 mana. Overall, definitely not the greatest of insta-kill troops, not even in the better end, definitely in the weaker half. but in something like a Blade Lands Under Spire might be your main damage source, based on the very much lack of options we currently have within this kingdom. As overall, it's not really that great of a kingdom. It's mostly just ever gotten for the magic upgrades that you get from Blade Lands itself. With that being said, of course, we mentioned the Journey event. We do have Journey this week. Of course, make sure every single one of your teams uses the Journey troop, and ideally fully max, as they'll give you 2 times magic and up to 3 times score. Unlike some other modes these days, like raids and invasions, where you can just use the copy on your team and you'll get the full bonus. Keep in mind, for Journey events, you do have to fully max it in order to get the full bonus. Anything less than that will give you partial amounts of additional score. Beyond that, still the same as always, just take whatever the bigger mile is. We have to use Red and Daemon as far as our options. So on the lower end, we are definitely going to, well, of course, always have to use Blade Hound. But on the lower end, you can use Marilla for mana accumulation. You can use the Houndmaster as backup plan. I did use Wand here, but of course you can use any red weapon you want, either offensively or defensively. In this case, we went defensive. On the higher end, as far as options that you end up having, we have things like Eye of Argris. I think I went pretty heavy on this on my team, but you can double up, triple up on him, get all his Doom Skulls. He still does pretty decent damage off his cast. We have Enraged Carindera, which can do a very big cast if you can get the mana for him, while also having a lot of immunities off of his Invulnerable. We do have 4 times stun. We have true damage. We have the insta-kill, though I don't think this is going to work as good for this compared to Underspire, because you do have to make sure you win quickly. This is probably going to be too slow in the context of Journey event, but is perfectly fine speed, probably an Underspire once you hit the higher end of Underspire. But plus in Underspire, you'll have even less options compared to how many you have for this game mode. But yeah, we do have a few other mana accumulators here and there, but overall, not that great. You're either going to have to keep doing small amount of chip damage, or try going for some of the more insta-kill or really damage-heavy luck-based things, with either like an attack buff or something similar. As we do have a decent handful of skull options here. I believe we even have Empower Skull, if I'm not mistaken. One way you could build around is with a buffer and then go into Empower Skull, convert all blues to skulls, and you have that as an option as well. So a couple different angles you can end up doing. And of course, you could just, worst comes to worst, you can just keep spamming Blade and Hound and you'll eventually win. Just have to have enough backup around it and you should be good to go. Just Blade and Hound spam is enough for Journey event victory. I might just not get full score on some of the battles there, especially towards the later end. So as far as events that we have going on this week, Tuesday, we have ourselves the Fell Roost faction, yellow-purple restriction. Wednesday, we have ourselves the Talk Like a Pirate Day pirate pet. We'll be handing out one of the old ones on stream tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, as we do on Mondays, Fridays, and Sundays these days here on the channel. The actual official 2024 one will be coming in on game on Wednesday. Can't quite see it here, but of course, if you check yours and you don't have a pet active, you probably already see it there with the little timer going. But yeah, he's coming out on Wednesday. Make sure to get it on the day it'll be available, unless they do it through some other things later down the line. Thursday, we have ourselves the class event for Diabolus hero class. Overall, pretty bad hero class, among one of the worst few in the entire game. Might use it occasionally this week just because of the Daemon synergy, I believe, and then you tend to go Doom Color or whatever it's called, as that thing is like a 4 times Death Mark when it dies, as well as Death Mark mechanic, and is just a better Daemon hero class in this thing, so very rarely do you ever bother using it. It's among one of the worst few in the game, and there's plenty of alternatives that you just never really need to use it. And this Friday, we have no event week, aka arena event, so pretty chill week as far as the weekend is concerned. Beyond that, as far as soulforge, we kind of mentioned it earlier, but worth mentioning again, get your Takshakas. First time it's been available in soulforge, or I believe so, right? Am I going crazy? I'm pretty sure it's the first time. There's no way it isn't, right? I don't remember it happening, but they're all just meshing together at this point. But yeah, I'm pretty sure this is the first time Takshaka has ever been in soulforge. Not even really worth mentioning the other things. It's just go for Takshaka. Actually, I say that. Grey King is available. Oh, sorry, that's not Grey King. Never mind. Other King. Never mind. Yeah, just get your 2 to 3 Takshakas this week. And of course, as far as weapon, do not leave this week without your Cutlass. Even if you're missing the other pieces, if you weren't able to get them, still get this, because you will eventually be able to go get the Ruby weapon. And if you have been keeping up with it, you will finally be able to, as of today, craft yourself the Ruby weapon. Really great true damage weapon, really great gold farming weapon. You can just plop it on any team, get free gold. You can use it in the meta gold farming teams that currently exist. You use it with Takshaka, that's in soulforge again this week. Actually, I think I even showed it for one of the teams. Let me see. Let me go use one of the other ones. Actually, I think I might just did standard Takshaka. But anyways, let me just go to, I don't know, why do I always want to go to Sword's Edge? I'm not sure why I always want to do this one. But of course, Takshaka teams, quite a few different ways to build it. You've probably seen one, Stellarix, double Takshaka pretty commonly in PvP, though 2 of them do get replaced because they were too broken for PvP. They still never nerfed them, but they currently don't show up in PvP. Though, oddly enough, Takshaka still does. So of course, Takshaka's main premise is very high amount of true damage, and as you can see here, you can run it as your sole damage source. Literally just one Takshaka can solo an entire team with enough luck and or, well, mostly luck. But it doesn't really need too much luck. It tends to cycle pretty well into itself. You could feed green mana into something else, and overall, just really, really solid option. And I think for one of the other ones, I do show it with true damage, so I might as well show it. I think I did it for the high faction. So we actually did this with Ruby and the Takshaka, doing a combination of both. You could even triple up on the Takshaka, though this one just doing a double variant. So for this, we'll just go straight into our Leprechaun, get things rolling. Ideally get Wildcard here for full mana. Not quite, but we'll go for a little bit of mana there. And then we kind of keep spamming Ruby, go for the other ones whenever we can, get her explodes, get max gold very easily, and just kind of cycle between them as we get them up. Go for the Ruby right there. Hopefully we have enough mana for the kill. If not, at this point, I think we're just going for triple Ruby, which I guess we didn't get to use Takshaka much, but hey, whatever gets it done. And there we go. Of course, we're not going to get nearly as much gold as we would have for the Cedrics. It really shows how much double Cedric makes a difference. We basically are getting double the gold here for using 2 Cedrics on the team compared to not using 2 Cedrics on Explore 12. Because on the other one, we got about 10,000 gold, a little under, like 9,000 something. And this one, we got 4,877. So pretty much double gold for using 2 Cedrics on your team. And you know what? We got a chest here. Might as well take it. And we got nothing. Anyways. Other things, Legends Reborn, it seems to have 2 days left. I'm not sure if this is just for reclaiming the loot or if you can still do stuff with it. But, yeah, timer's still going, so they have reworked this a couple times, so I'm not even sure how this fully works. Are you guys actually able to do this? I'm not sure if anyone still hasn't done the quest battle. But I could have sworn that these 2 days were just to claim everything. I'm not sure if you could still do the quest if you haven't already, but, yeah, the menu's still here for 2 days. Not sure if it's just a buffer period or what, but, hey, still here. Beyond that, one over journey, one over campaign, one over pet. Oh yeah, it's almost the end of the PvP season, by the way. How many more days of that do we still have left? Ladder, Alliance, where does it say? No, it's almost over. Let me just go to PvP season. Okay, so we still got a while. I thought it was like next week or something. No, we still have 3 weeks left. Never mind. I thought we were getting like really, really close. No, it's like October by the time we get there. But anyways, so let's go over all the teams. All of them will be in the description below if you want to go and copy paste any of them. Obviously, we've already shown a couple of them, but let's go show all of them. So as far as journey this week, quite a few different ways we can go about this. I'm still honestly not fully sure how I want to go about it, but I figured Ivargris is pretty fun, at least for like the lower to mid range. I'm definitely going Ivargris. Just a lot of fun, just seeing a billion Doom Skulls every single turn. You can still cast for a decent amount of damage. Of course, you do have to use the Blighted Hounds, that is required, and you probably want to use Hero just to help tank, as it will make your chance of surviving a lot higher compared to putting a third guy there. As far as the lower range, we kind of showed it earlier, but we could use Marilith as our main mana accumulator. I am using a wand here, however, you can replace this out for literally anything. This is mostly just here for just existing, because it'll eventually be a Blighted Hound, because this guy will do an explode, get a little bit of board control, hopefully an extra turn from your explode, since you could control where it goes, and then summons 1 to 3 Blighted Hounds. So eventually your team is going to be Blighted Hound, Blighted Hound, Blighted Hound, Hound Gor, or Houndmaster Gor, and eventually, yeah. So your team will eventually get whittled down, and you just keep doing Blighted Hounds over and over again until you win. That's literally all you need. Just keep spamming him until you win. It will eventually get the job done. As far as the faction is concerned, it is a yellow-purple restriction when we have the Fell Roost faction. For a lower range team, we're just running a triple finesse here and using the Staff of Storms or Nimbus Bow. And if you don't have either of those, just pretty much anything while using Stormcaller hero class. You just keep spamming this, keeps feeding mana back into everything. And as long as you don't have mana drain, which very few things do in Underworld, you should be good to go. You just keep spamming it over and over again until you win. You do have to give up your turn every single time, but it does end up doing a lot of damage, especially since the first and final battle, I believe, have 2 and 3 yellows, respectively. Or maybe it's 2 and 2, but they have quite a few. And any week that's like that, finesse can be pretty well. As far as next team, we kind of already showed this one, using Ruby with Takshaka. Really nice combination. Have a Leprechaun there for a little bit of mana accumulation, but of course you can just simply go a third Takshaka or offset it with any other true damager that you have. That's within the yellow-purple restriction. Though, of course, in this game mode, you are allowed to use any colored hero weapon, so we are allowed to use the Ruby weapon. As far as Pure Faction is concerned, we are running with 4 Nocturnia. Even though this place has 5 different options, we really don't need anything for Fell Roost other than this thing. It does a bunch of true damage, heavy splash, so 75% to adjacents, and that is true damage heavy splash, so 75% true true damage to the 2 adjacent, so pretty nice. Also has burn, which doesn't do much since you're doing true damage. Disease, which makes sure you don't get mana. And if all else fails, it has a 20% chance to summon an egg, so even once you lose your Nocturnia, it might eventually become another Nocturnia. And not only does it have a chance to summon egg on cast, it also has a 50% chance to spawn a fell dragon egg with full mana on its death. So overall, yeah, it's pretty tanky. You have infinite tank. If you lose your first troop, it'll be replaced by a billion other things by the time you get to the final fight. So you'll be fine. As long as you have 1 dragon, you will win the final fight. They'll hopefully have way more than that going into the final one. But anyways, as far as the Dabbler's Hero Class event, this is specifically Damon's from, just double check, it's like, are you Damon? Yeah, it's a Damon. But this is specifically Damon's from Blighted Lands. With this, we're just running a pretty standard Black Manacle team. This is for the Mana Link and also having AoE. This is for Empower into purple, and this is for Empower into a different purple. So pretty easy just to get both of these to full mana, cast, win, and that's all you got to do. As far as Underspire is concerned, this is specifically a Blighted Lands Underspire. So you have to use troops specifically from Blighted Lands. For the higher range team, we're using Fiendfire for its Curse Burn, mostly its Curse. Amnesia for its backup resummon and a bunch of mana accumulation. The Archduke for its instant kill potential, which keeps going up over time. And Lammerstew just to empower into purple to get everything rolling. For the earlier fights, you kill everything with Fiendfire. Once it gets super deep, you kill things with Archduke. Earlier on, you could go for a full AoE kind of option too and lean a little bit heavier into Fiendfire and other similar options to hit all enemies. But eventually, you'll hit a wall where AoE damage will not be enough, and you're going to need to bring out your insta-kill. So you have 1 Archduke, 2 Archdukes can end up working out really well for that. As far as Underspire Low is concerned, we basically run the exact same team as Pure Faction, with the only difference being, since we can run Hero, running Elementalist since it's really tanky, we're also using Cutlass, which you do not want to leave this week without. Not because this weapon is good, but because the weapon that it crafts is good. Though oddly enough, yeah, you can still use it as a weapon here. There's a bunch of true damage the first 2 enemies, which synergizes pretty well. With his true damage, obviously does less than this, but it covers a color that he doesn't, so just helps tank and fortify the team while also giving a little bit more mana diversity. And you could go for 1 other mana accumulation if you really want here, but it's mostly just going to be tanking it out here in order to go get the win. And we already showed these 2 teams, but we have ourselves the pretty standard gold farming Ruby team. A few other variants of this. Might cover a video on it this week. I'm not sure if there's enough variants to really go over and hold another separate video, because honestly, this is just a cheap, like, accessible one. It's kind of like with, like, Rowan build. Like, you generally don't need to go outside of, like, Urskia Shield, Leprechaun, Rowan. Like, you know, it's a pretty standard team, even though there's a couple different variants you can do with it. And Ruby is pretty similar in that there's really only 2 directions I would say to do it in. It is the gold farm route, which is what we're doing right here, and to build it into every best true damage option you have. So take out your Takshaka, take out whatever else you have, plop it all into a team, and boom. Those are like the 2 teams Ruby is used in. But there is actually one other thing, which I still, even this week, didn't end up showing it in the build, mostly because it kind of worked out really well into purple this week. But one thing that Ruby weapon is really good for that I generally up to this point have pretty much never shown in videos, but do mention almost every time in stream, or even run it whenever we did Thursday streams in the past. But the Thursday class event, it is really good to run the Ruby weapon. Maybe not this week, but generally speaking, it is really good to run the Ruby weapon. It is probably best in slot for Thursday class event if you're just looking to claim your 25 gems, get in, get out. Of course, you get a bunch of gold along the way as well. But it's really, really good for killing that out due to its true damage range, feeding back into itself. It's basically just a 1-weapon army, similar to how Takshaka is in some teams and similar, where you can just kind of solo with this single Ruby weapon and you're just good to go. Really, really great for that. Really great for a lot of low-range stuff like that. Like if you can 1-shot, 2-shot with this thing, even Explore 12 where you get the 3-shot, it's still worthwhile just because of how much extra gold you can end up getting. It's a really interesting weapon and pretty much the strongest true damage weapon. There's really not much of a need to run Life and Death. Life and Death these days is still really tanky and really good at keeping your hero alive, but from a damage output, Ruby is so much better by quite a margin compared to any other true damage weapon we currently have within the game, and it is finally available free to play this week, so definitely make sure to go get it. And even if you can't craft the whole thing, definitely make sure to at least get your Cutlass, so once the other events roll around, you will be able to go and get it into the future once those other 2 events roll back around once more. Anyways, guys, if you still have any other questions, feel free to leave it in the comment section below. Hope you all have a wonderful week. All of the teams will be in the description and the pinned comment if you want to go and copy paste any of them, and I will catch all of you guys later. Goodbye, everyone, and thanks for watching.